And so we're getting into the first group of exercises, the leg series. Now these exercises can be used as warm-ups pre-run, but they're also really good in their own right for strength and conditioning and just general running prep. So the first on the list is the ankle circle. And for this one, it's introducing the concept of circumduction to the ankle joints. Now, ankles kind of deserve quite a lot of attention, which is primarily what the leg series is trying to think about. And if you think about ankles, both in terms of the loading which goes through them, they're kind of pretty much first point of contact, aren't they? That foot and ankle complex. They get a pretty good bombardment during your run. But then also there's a high rate of injury with ankles, and of course we're thinking predominantly about ankle sprains. Now, when this has been researched, there's pretty solid, really decent evidence, in fact, that if you warm up your ankle and you prep your ankle accordingly, you can really significantly reduce the chances of injuring it when you're out and about. Furthermore, one of the biggest predisposing risk factors for a bad ankle injury is having injured that ankle before, and that's typically accompanied with not having rehabbed it properly. So the leg series is great because it can act as that pre-run warm-up prep, strength and conditioning, but it can also be a really useful tool for rehabbing ankles properly and then really lessening the chances of getting that nasty second, third ankle sprain, which I know a lot of you will have encountered in your running. So if we think about the ankle circles to begin with, you want your feet parallel, you want your body lengthened, you want your head floating towards the ceiling, and having that head floating up as if it's being filled with helium is a really simple, easy trick for energizing your core muscles. Core muscles, you can always interchange that phrase for anti-gravity muscles, so if you fight gravity with that head float, you're guaranteed to wake up those deep stabilizing muscles. Now the only flip side here is you don't want to do this exercise with your knees bolt straight. So sometimes when you're fighting to lengthen, you can really lose track of what the knees are doing. So cushion the knees and have that natural shock absorption feature all the way through. Bring your hands up onto your pelvis, comes in handy halfway through. But first up, we're going to lead this movement from about knee height. So imagine somebody's just grabbed you around either side of your knee, and then your imaginary assistant is going to start a circling motion with their hands, which in turn causes your whole body to circle around. Now, because we're visualizing this coming from about knee height, you should feel pretty grounded. And what this is doing is generating that circumduction from the ankle. So the foot is staying fixed, and then the ankle joint is wheeling around, and that's the circumduction I was just talking about. Now, even with this, you're going to find that there's a tendency for the soles of the feet to come off, particularly if you're doing it with running shoes on as a pre-run warm-up. It'll be a little easier to control barefoot if you're doing this as part of a rehab program or something. But you want to make sure, whichever version you're doing, that you don't have too much lifting of the soles of the feet. The other thing you need to be aware of when you're doing this is that you're keeping your body quite rigid, so that as you're circumducting from the ankle, you're not hula hooping, which is the kind of easy get out, and you're kind of losing control and you're shifting your center of mass rather than, you're keeping your center of mass the same by losing control rather than shifting your center of mass as you should do to really get the wake-up call for the foot and ankle muscles that we're trying to target here. Once you've done a few one-way round, it's always good practice to go back round the other way. And with any part of the ankle circle, closing your eyes really kind of ups the ante in terms of both what you're feeling and getting that precision in the movement, but also the difficulty involved, and you can really get some extra incentive for the targeting of the muscles which we need to. Two easy progressions. You just basically shift where you're moving from, and in your mind, you lift up to your pelvis for this next one, around the hips, and you can kind of almost use your own hands to generate the circles. Now, if you tell yourself where you want to move from, you're going to feel a little bit more top heavy. When you're going around, try and get a consistent speed of the circle. You're not just kind of chucking yourself around without too much attention. Breathe in for half a circle, breathe out for half a circle. It's quite a nice pacing. Again, reverse the direction. Next up, just finish up by leading the movement with your shoulders, as if somebody's just grabbed you around the shoulders and is then circling you round. Now this way you're going to feel really top heavy, and you kind of get that drunken sailor type feel as you're swaying around. Closing the eyes, thinking about leading with the shoulders will really test your ability to keep the feet anchored, and I can certainly feel with my running shoes on that I'm a little bit all over the place, which is kind of what you want. You want to really test all the range of movement available from that ankle complex. Again, both directions I think is helpful. Now if you're doing this as a warm-up, then that's great. If you're bringing it more into home-based exercise, you can really pay a lot more attention to the detail and try and get consistency and control through every arc of that circle that you're doing. But the ankle circles are one of the most simple but most effective targeting exercises for the foot and ankle complex. So that's the first on the list in the leg series.